Hello everyone, this is Quinn and it's been a while. I am going to talk about some heavier stuff at the start of this, so please skip ahead to the timestamp on the screen if you'd like to just get to the video. We lost our cat Fern to cancer at the end of January. It was very sudden, not even a week had passed from the time we brought her into the vet to her passing. She was very loved and spoiled and had a great life with us, but that doesn't make it easier when her presence is definitely missed. She would have been 6 years old in April. And if you've experienced grief or know how it affects a person, you can understand why I stopped all my big plans for YouTube this year. Things stopped really in many places, not just the social media thing. Recently, I've been slowly getting back some of my momentum. It is, of course, still tough. Grief works in a weird way. Even talking about for now gets me. But I think I'm ready to try and see if I can get some momentum back pertaining to reading and making videos. So here I am. My reading has not matched previous years, but I am at 22 books read by the end of May. So I'm going to try and get back into it with a mid-year 24-hour reading challenge. And no matter how I feel the video is going, I am posting it no matter what. I've got a selection of books here, some reflecting my 2026 reading goals, some are just books that I'm so excited for, and are high-rated predictions. I have picked way more books than I read in a month, and I have about 20 days to finish the filming portion of this, so I might be aiming too high, but let's try it anyways. I usually read more when I am part of some kind of challenge, and I don't think just doing the 24-hour challenge will be a good enough motivator. But my library is doing a summer reading challenge, plus Morgan is doing a summer reading challenge, where you try and read 5 times a week for 3 months from June to August. Plus, while I didn't participate this year, thought I should show you some other challenges I found for future reference. There is also a readathon where Gavin is one of the hosts this year for a tarot reading challenge created by Deja's Book World and Noelle Sunday. And I got a random Instagram reel about a reading like it's 1999, a nostalgic 30-day summer reading challenge by The Jazz Diaries. And I'm sure there are a lot more, but these are the ones that popped up on my feed. I'm excited for you to tag along with me, and let's get right into the math I did to figure out how many books I should plan for, what I'm planning on reading, and what, if any, reading goals these fit into. On average, I read about 50 pages per hour. Times that by the 24 hours I have for this challenge, I should be reading about 1,200 pages. I started going through my physical TBR, seeing what books that interested me and what I wanted to read. I also looked at my reading goals to see what is missing and what I'm behind on. You can see more details of my goals in my reading journal video, but particularly for this video, I'm focused on the 6 more specific goals. So I've only read 1 out of my 4 classics, 1 out of 4 of my 500-page books, 1 out of the 6 for my nonfiction, 0 out of 4 for the countries, 0 out of 4 for translated fiction, and 2 out of 6 for graphic novels. I decided to tackle 3 of those 6 sections. Graphic novels, which I will be reading the Sheets trilogy by Brenna Thumler. So this consists of Sheets, Delicates, and Lights. I'm also going to be tackling nonfiction, As Long as Grass Grows by Dina Gilio Whitaker. And the last category is translated fiction, which I chose Pedro the Vast by Simone Lopez Trujillo, translated by Robin Myers. And the last 2 books I am planning on reading, Sorcery and Small Magics by Maiga Ducey, and my most anticipated out of all of these, Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews. Now, with all of these books, the page count gets a little interesting because I have graphic novels in the stack. Usually a graphic novel takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. So when I did my calculations, I gave each book an hour, and then I added an extra hour just in case. It took me a little longer. So then we end up with 1,000 pages to divide. I knew for sure I wanted to get to Hazelthorn, so that's minus 368 pages. Which ends up being 632. I need to get to Pedro the Vast because it pertained to one of my other readathons, so that's 144. So we're at 488. Sorcery and Small Magics is 374 pages. We end with 114 pages left. Now, As Long as Grass Grows, I am planning to read via audiobook because I just like nonfiction that way. So I do speed it up, usually 1.5 times speed, maybe even more depending on the narration. So that takes us to negative 110 pages. So this is cutting it very, very close. And if we add back that 50-page buffer from the graphic novels, we are now at minus 60 pages. So that's about an hour of reading, which I can definitely save via reading the audiobook. So like I said earlier, I might be aiming too high and too much, right? These 7 books will be even more than I have read so far this year. In January, I read 6 books. February, I read 3. March, I read 5. April, I read 4. May, I've read 4. So this is planned for June and only for 20 days. So even if we combine all of the graphic novels to count as 1 book, that's still 5 books. That is still going to be above average for some of the months so far. But I'm hoping with the combination of the library challenge that's going on, Morgan's challenge, and just trying to have all my downtime being reading, I'm crossing my fingers that it'll be good. And right, I'm trying to gain that momentum back. So at first it might be slow. Really depends on the book too. I'm sure the graphic novels, it's gonna be easy to kind of get lost in them, but I don't know about the rest. I don't know my reading speed now. I don't know how focused I can really sit and read currently, because as you can see with my numbers, I usually average 8 to 10 per month. I'm quite behind on my reading goal of 100 books. And so this is a way to kind of get a little bit closer to that reading goal and just have fun reading as much as I can and get back into really figuring out how to film again, which I'm sure will be a learning curve. Hope you'll stick along for the ride and excuse any rustiness I have with this video. Okay, this is gonna be rough, but let's get to it. It is June 3rd, 9:24 p.m. and we are starting the timer. See here, I have it blank, but we are starting with Sheets by Brenna Thumler. Since it's later in the night, I have about an hour before I go to bed. I think I should be able to get through this in an hour. It really depends on how thick graphic novels are, but it's between 45 minutes to an hour that I can read through one of these. I will try to give a halfway through update if I remember. If not, you'll just get my rating and my thoughts at the end. Historically, with graphic novels, especially American ones, I tend to rate them kind of low because I feel like it's rushed. I'm used to manga where the story is throughout at least 13 volumes or something like that, right? You really get the plot going, you really get to understand the characters. So a lot of these one-offs, like this is the first one. I have the second and third on my shelf, and I'll read those 3. I don't know if the third one's the last one or not, but at least I'll have been 3 volumes into this series, and hopefully that makes it a little better. So we will see how this one goes. Let us get started. All right, 39 minutes, and I finished Sheets. I was a little hesitant with my experience with graphic novels, etc. But it really wrapped up in the end. I think I'm going to give it a 3 stars. I liked it. The art definitely grew on me. Like you can see a couple pages here. Like it's really, really interestingly detailed, right? And then like the characters, it took me a little bit to get used to their design, or I guess the style of the humans in here. So we follow Marjorie. Marjorie is a younger kid. I don't know if it's middle school or high school, but we follow her. She recently lost her mother, and she is running the laundromat that her family runs. Her father's depressed. She has a younger sibling she has to take care of, and throughout the story, you just kind of realize that the laundromat isn't doing very well, and she has to be the parent of the household because of her father's dealings with the grief of losing his wife. So we get this character, and then we get like a ghost view, a ghost town, and we follow Wendell. Wendell also, I think, passed away a year ago. I think Marjorie's mother passed away 3 years ago, and Wendell passed away about a year ago, and he's just dealing with ghostly things, right? You have in the corner DYE, dead youth empathetics. And so he decides to hop on a train, go to the human world. They obviously interact, and that's the base of the story. I am very glad I got all 3 books. I'm always nervous whenever I pick up book 2 and 3 of a series, if I will like it or not, but I am definitely hooked. I'm definitely interested. The world's interesting. The characters are interesting. I am curious on what book 2 and 3 are going to be about. If they follow these characters even more. I hope so, because we just touched what the characters have been going through. There's just a lot packed into this story. So yeah, I give this a 3 out of 5. I am 40 minutes into my 24 hours. I'll be most likely wrapping up for the night, and tomorrow we're going to tackle book 2. Hello, it is even later than yesterday, 10:26. We are on to our next book. I decided to just continue with the Sheets books. I think I have a short amount of time to read today. They go by pretty fast, and I was enjoying myself towards the end of the last book, so I think let's continue on that momentum. I have finished Delegates. It took me about 56 minutes, so I'm an hour 35 minutes into my 24 hours. It's almost 11:30, so I should get to bed. But I decided to quickly update with this. So we follow Marjorie, like with the last book, but this book, I guess the second main character is, hi Clover, is I think someone we technically met in the first book. I didn't go grab it and look. In the first book, there was a teacher, and that teacher is this kid's dad. So she got held back a grade, so they're now both in 8th grade. And so it follows similarly, like the first book, the 2 storylines, and then they connect at the end. I'm not sure if I liked this one as much as the first one. You know, Marjorie's storyline was really weird and didn't expect that storyline after the first book. And then this new storyline with Eliza, I enjoyed. The ending definitely saved it a little bit, but maybe leaning more towards the 2.5. That's it for me tonight. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to at least finish the series, and it is my day off. Today's my Friday, so tomorrow I'm hoping to start one of the novels that I have on my shelf. It is almost 2 p.m. on the 5th of June. As you might be able to hear in the background, I don't know how well this mic picks up stuff, but it just started pouring rain. And it just seems like a perfect time to take a break and read. As you can see, I'm filming and everything's a mess, at least in my eyes. I see the messes everywhere. I usually would, for vlogs, try to clean up, and I decided to not. I think that is just one additional step that makes me not film. So I'm not trying to be perfect. I just want to talk about books. You can see Ivy in the corner being cute. So you get what you get. Little side asterisk for you there. I am going to be reading Lights. This morning I've been doing some chores, I guess, some housekeeping, and I think right now it would be a great time to do a little hour break for this to finish the series. I did look it up, and this is the last book, so it is a trilogy. And yeah, I'm just gonna finish it off so that I can have my 3 easiest books knocked off the first 3 days. I think for this weekend, after I finish these 3 books, I do either want to start Sorcery of Small Things or Hazelthorn, but we'll see. This will probably take me a little bit more than an hour. This is the chunkiest of the 3, and I will most likely just update you at the end. All right, I finished Lights. So it took about an hour, 13 minutes to finish that one. So I am a little less than 3 hours through the 24 hours, which is actually pretty good. About a little less than an hour each book, which is kind of what I estimated. And then I added an extra hour just in case. So with my whole squeaking past on the page count per hour math, that's a good sign. That is a good sign. I really liked this one. It 4 stars for me. This follows the main two characters' stories, and then you have Wendell's story, really, really tying in everything from the first book, from the second book, and then this one is just like pretty much Wendell's story, I guess. The art is fantastic in this one. Here's like one of my favorite pages. Like, it's so good. You can really see the improvement from the first book. And even with the characters, they really cleaned up the style. I think the only thing I would say about this series as a whole is I know this is not taking place present day. They still use landlines. I think the style of the clothing is about like 80s-esque, maybe late 80s. And so it's surprising to have 7th and 8th graders just roaming around. I don't know, they just seem older than an 8th grader. And I know that's, of course, hard to write for the age group in that time where kids were able to just free roam, and there had to be commercials about like, hey, do you know where your kid is at? In the 90s, I think that was a thing. But yeah, so it just seemed a little odd that there was still like parental supervision, but the stuff that they've done, I was thinking back to my 8th grade days. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do half of these things. But other than that, I think this wrapped up the story fairly nicely. I think compared to the 3, right? I gave the first one 3 stars, the second one 2 stars, and this one I gave 4 stars. So maybe a little bit of middle book syndrome, but I'm glad I finally picked up this series. I think it was a quite overall enjoyable experience. And now I'm off doing probably some more chores, and then I will come back with my decision on the first novel that I picked up. Hello, it is noon, June 6th. I am going to be putting up laundry. I have about 30 minutes until I'm chatting with my friend. I'm going to be listening to As Long as Grass Grows by Dina Galeo Whitaker for the duration of my chores. We'll see how far I get in 30 minutes. Alrighty, I got 3 or 4 bins done. I'm not quite finished with the first chapter. I think I have like 10 more minutes left, or I guess it's the introduction still. The introduction so far is talking about the Keystone Pipeline, and it's going good. This book should take me about 4.5 hours to read. We just hit 3 hours on the 24-hour clock. I will most likely pick up a physical book tonight. Maybe after I'm done chatting with my friend, I'll finish the laundry and finish the chapter, but we will see. Bye. Hello, quick update for you all. I did end up, after chatting with my friend and eating lunch, I did finish the introduction as well as the first chapter. So with nonfiction, I like the type of nonfiction that is more of like a nonfiction, I guess, memoir than just a straight up nonfiction a lot of the times. So with this one, it is definitely a history book. That's how it feels. And it is very dry. And I think that's why I usually like nonfiction with a memoir aspect or with like personal stories or personal anecdotes. I like both. I am liking it so far still, but it's more of a thing where I could only maybe listen to a chapter a day to really understand what I have read. So I read the introduction, which is about 15 pages, and then chapter 1 was 20 more pages after that. And it was almost too much to kind of comprehend reading both the intro and the first one. I don't know if I'll have very much to say other than like kind of what the book is about, right? We started off with the Standing Rock saga, and then chapter 1 was environmental justice theory and its limitations for indigenous people. So that was like very, very, I don't want to say technobabble, but that's what it was, right? Like this law is affecting this law, which is affecting this law. These laws aren't actually able to be used in court type of deal. So that's kind of our first 2 chapters. After I finished this, I went on a walk and decided to start with Sorcery and Small Magics by Maiga Ducey. I will have to look up how to say that name. But this I got at Half Price Books, and it's the Fairy Loot edition. It is gorgeous. There's the little end papers. Here's some more. And then like the book itself is like gorgeous. And then you get like another dust jacket. And I'm also around 30 pages. Yeah, about page 33 of this book. From the synopsis, this felt like a perfect book for me. Okay, I didn't read the first chapter like I usually try to do more recently. I didn't realize it was in first person. And so that threw me off. It took me so long to get into it. And even now, a few chapters in, it's like getting a little better. Let's see. Their names Leo Vander Lovage and Sebastian Grimm. So Leo and Grimm are nemesi, and there's a spell that goes wrong where they have to be around one another. Yeah, it bonds them together. And so I'm waiting for that moment to happen in order to like really determine if I'm going to be enjoying it or not, but we'll see. Like, it's such a pretty book and it seems so up my alley. So I'm hoping that the first person narration won't throw me off too bad. Now we're about 4 hours and 24 minutes into the 24 hours. So we got 19 and a half, hi Ivy, hours left. I'm off to make dinner, and then most likely I'm just going to try to get to at least page 100 of Sorcery and Small Magics. After that, give you a better update. All right, so I made it just shy of 6 hours. I have gotten to page 125. It has definitely gotten easier to read. Like, I am picking up the pace, but I think it's because I'm just like waiting for me to be hooked. I don't know what it really is. I don't believe in their story yet, right? We're 125 pages in. I think it was about that 80 to 100 range where it started to really pick up. But also, it is just so hard not to compare it to like a dreary fanfic. I am pretty sure I have read this type of fanfic where there's a spell mishap and they're bound together and they can't be a far distance from one another without feeling pain or discomfort. Like, I am so sure I have read something like that. So it's okay. I'm not liking either character a lot. Like, they're just mid so far. And while we're at page 125, we've, I think, pretty much gotten to the synopsis. Not the last paragraph of the synopsis, but we have Leo, we have Grimm, and they have not liked each other since the first year that they've been going to this school. It is their 5th year and that's their final year. So I'm envisioning it as like a long college, right? College is usually 4 years. So I'm just like, okay, this is their senior year, college-esque level things with like classes once a week or twice a week or whatever. They live on campus. We have 2 characters that were introduced. One, I believe, is Cassius, and the other is Agnes. Agnes is Leo's best friend. Cassius is friends with Grimm, but they've been lab partners for a long time, I guess. And so once these 2 figure out that the spell had gone AWire in their class, they had Cassius and Agnes help them to try to figure it out. While they're figuring this out, Leo realizes that the spell is more than just Grimm being able to command him to do stuff. Now I think it's gotten further to where they can't be apart for very long. Leo doesn't tell anyone. He's waiting for Cassius to write the counterspells, and we're kind of here at this event where it's like the autumn break, and Leo doesn't tell anyone that this is happening. So Grimm goes back home and Leo gets sick. The magic system in this is interesting, where there's casters of the spell and then there are writers of the spell. And so Leo is a writer, Grimm is a caster, and so that's how this has happened, right? And Cassius is a spell writer while Agnes is a caster. We are at the point of this 3rd paragraph where Cassius does find a book mentioning this witch in the woods that might help create a counterspell. And they're trying to, I guess, decide whether or not they're gonna go. The synopsis obviously says they do go, but I'm not really sold on the characters. I'm sold on the story a little bit, but also I felt like I've read something like this. I'm interested in seeing how their relationship will blossom. So yeah, that is my update. 6 hours into the 24 hours. Clover. Oh, here you come. Good job. Oh, Ivy's coming. You see her. The two little gremlins. All right, it is a little past 3, and I have eaten breakfast. We had really tasty ube mochi pancakes with some sesame drizzle and fresh garden strawberries. But my wife went on a little motorcycle ride, and I got the little bug to do some spring cleaning. And so I'm going to be listening to another chapter of As Long as Grass Grows. A little update, I'm about 7 hours into the 24 hours. I read for, I think, about an hour. I didn't just stop after the first chapter. I went and listened to 2 chapters. I think now that I know that it's more of a history knowledge than like a memoir nonfiction, it's easier to grasp the concepts that they're talking about and stuff. So liking it way more now than I was at first. So that's great. Chapter 2 talked about genocide by any other name. So it just talks about the history of genocide and then how environmental changes and like moving people from their land or poisoning the land is also a type of genocide. And then chapter 3 is just the Industrial Revolution, about how even if we put the native people onto a land we designated and we found oil or mercury, I think was another one that they talked about, that we would just boot them out. Or mine and ruin the land there as well. I have just read for about 55 minutes. I'm just shy of 8 hours. It is just starting to rain outside. Sounds very, very nice. It'll be perfect for bedtime. But my thoughts. So I did remember which dreary fanfic this reminded me of. I will try to find it and either post a screenshot of the title and the author, or maybe just link it in the description. But there was one where they both worked for the ministry. Draco was like an expert in like cursed objects or cursed objects, like objects that you wouldn't assume have magic in them. And Harry was an Aurora, and they were working on a case of this mansion that might have some objects. And Harry decides to wear an object that looked normal, and it was a choker, and it turned out that Draco could tell Harry what to do because of the magic in the choker. So if you want that, that was quite a good one from what I remember. So this last 50 pages or so really has sold the story for me. I really think that the beginning 125 pages or whatever really did a disservice to the story, because it did almost feel like a whole different story compared to what we're reading now. We are finally at the 3rd paragraph of the synopsis. So Leo and Grimm are now going into the Unquiet Wood to find a sorcerer who will help their curse, because the curse has gotten worse and worse. Now they can't be more than a block away from each other before Leo feels sick. And so now they've both found a person to take them into the woods, and that's kind of where we're at. We're in the woods. It's really, really creepy. There's already been monsters and creatures and things that have happened it's really, really upticked the interest. But like so far halfway through, I'm not really believing in any type of even a friendship coming from this. And I don't know how high of a rating this will get. Right now it's kind of going, from a not really liking it to, okay, now it's starting to get okay. I'm liking the direction. So we'll see how the second half of this goes. And yeah, Clover, do you have anything to say? No, you're just ready for bed. As you can see, Ivy is also ready for bed. I'll see you tomorrow. It is 9:35, June 8th. I have about 30 minutes until I start working. So I am putting a little chunk in sorcery and small magics. My hip woke me up early this morning, so I was able to do my morning routine, all that jazz. So now I have a extra chunk of time to read. I'm hoping that this continues to get better, or at least stay as intriguing as it is right now. Ivy is doing her little bedtime meeps. I am at 10 hours into the challenge. I think I read about 100 pages in total today. I have less than 100 left. So I'm gonna try my best to recap what I have read. This is where I started 199. Yeah, you're rubbing on the camera. Good job. I think last time I spoke to you guys, Leo and Grimm, they were looking for the sorceress in the woods, and now they found her. And so pretty much the last 100 pages was them meeting the sorceress, asking her for help. Her name is Sibylla, and she can counter stuff really, really well. And so she's just been doing some research and prepping the counterspell. As the days progress, the curse gets worse and worse. We reached a good climax. They finally kissed. They found out that, oh, the spell isn't a curse for compulsion or whatever. It's a curse. It's a love spell. And, you know, Leo's like, oh, I didn't know. And Grimm's like, are you sure you didn't know? And like, Leo's like, yeah, I didn't know. With this trope that happens, right? Leo's just like, oh, is this how I'm feeling, or is it the curse? Blah, blah. And then you can tell that Grimm probably has feelings towards him, but we don't really know. So at this point, I still don't see the chemistry between the two, especially reading so far through the story. Like, I'm just interested on what happens. I'm so close. It's an easy read, and I think that's why I've been continuing it. I lost my train of thought. Anyways, I just don't believe them. I don't believe that he's been slowly falling in love. I don't believe that Grimm's either always been in love, maybe, or like because of this, they, you know, have fallen for him. It was super easy. It really doesn't make a ton of sense. So anyways, I am planning on hopefully finishing this tomorrow, and then we'd be down another book, and then we would be almost to halfway through the 24-hour challenge. As you see, I didn't even think to mention it, we did do some spring cleaning over the weekend, so this is clean. We got everything kind of put in place other than, of course, the entry table. It's a little bit before my work starts. I have just a wee bit of time, which I might just be able to finish Sorcery and Small Magics. That would be really, really good, because I feel like I'm done. Right, done with this. I'm not DNFing it, of course. I'm just not interested anymore before I discuss this book. We watched the Nintendo Direct. Super cool. Super excited for the One Piece cooking game. Obviously, Kingdom Hearts 4. I've already seen Splatoon single player game. Totally buying that. So that's going to be very exciting. This book. Hold on, let me get to the page. The story continues in book 2 of the Wilder Songs trilogy. I am pissed. Oh my gosh. I was so like I don't even know what to say. I'm spiking my mic. I am talking too loud. Okay, so I read this morning a little bit, and then I had, I think, about 50 pages left for this evening, and I was just waiting and waiting. One of the characters almost died, and like the spell was fine, the curse was finally broken. The last scene was so heartwarming, and like nothing. I don't feel the tension between them, don't believe in the romance. So for this to be a quote unquote slow burn romance, I guess from a trilogy, I didn't think this was a series. I assumed because it was a very like part of a box, I thought they wouldn't do a series, because then you would only have the special edition of the first one, and then the second and third wouldn't match, unless that's how they make money, is by being like, oh, here's a special edition of 2 and 3, you can buy it specifically from I don't know. I assumed this was just a single book story. I am so mad. 1.5 or 2 stars is what this is getting. But that means we have a book down. We are at 11 hours and 17 minutes into the challenge. Before I start the next book, I will give you a TLDR of my day. Towards the end of my workday, it started pouring rain. It just was raining cats and dogs all of a sudden. And then within like maybe 20 minutes, it stopped. but I recorded some very, very nice rolling thunder that I will insert a clip here of. Then, after work, I laid in bed for a little bit. My wife came home from her job and we went on a walk. Before we went out, we saw two little fawns. It was a mama deer and two little babies just derping, running around. Plus, because of the downpour and the thundery rumbliness, the lighting in the forest was so, so pretty. When we came back, I did my exercises and then we decided to go out for dinner. I didn't bring my camera, I forgot. Now it is 10:06. I am exhausted. I am so tired. But I thought for the next 25-30 minutes, I would read Pedro the Vast. Hello everyone. It is Friday the 12th of June. As you can see, I am halfway through deconstructing my desk. I don't know if I have a photo of it before, but one of my goals for spring, which literally next weekend is the last weekend of spring, I wanted to invest in a standing desk. I've done a lot of research and then it pretty much just came to getting the cheapest thing that I can try out. Not sponsored. I can't believe I have to say that and people have to say that in videos now. But I got something. I've heard mixed reviews, but it was literally so cheap that I couldn't not try it and get it to check off one of my goals. So I will be listening to As Long as Grass Grows while building the desk and while putting this up and reorganizing and all of that good stuff. As you can see, Clover's already helping me before I even start, though I think she's gonna be slacking just a little bit. Hello. It has been a few days, I'm pretty sure. I think the last time I updated you was either Thursday or Friday. Today, I'm really gonna try to finish Pedro the Vast. I'm 30 pages in. I'm not far enough to give my thoughts just yet. I'm at 13 hours and 38 minutes. So for sure gonna read this and then start Hazelthorn today. As long as the grass grows, I think is fine if I leave for like Monday and Tuesday. That one I'm enjoying so much now. Like a crazy amount. I can't remember if I gave you a last update while I was building my desk, but the chapters are popping off. They're really, really good. Hello. I just got, I just got to part 2, which is titled Pedro the Vast, which is the title of the book. So I think right now I can give some updates on what I think about this because it's a weird one. So the way that this is written is that there are no chapters. There's these page breaks, so you can see on the bottom left, there is a little sun. You're kind of thrown between perspectives. So you have obviously Pedro, his son Patricio, and his daughter Kata. And then you have a perspective of a scientist. I forgot her name, but so you kind of have those perspectives. And you're just kind of getting like 2 paragraphs up to 4 paragraphs. Sometimes it's a past, sometimes it's present, sometimes it's like a dream or like a third weirdness. And it's a lot of run-on thoughts. So you have like a sentence and then a sentence and then a sentence and then all of a sudden like that was one thought about the past and then you switch to the present and it just kind of throws you off. So it is kind of hard to read. I think this might be better to listen to on audiobook, but it is just like a little weird. And so the first part is 52 pages. You find out about his life a little bit, that his wife died. He works at a milling farm that mills eucalyptus trees, and he has a really bad cough. And then all of a sudden, he is coughing so bad he passes out. Next scene, you find him in a coma along with 4 other workers. The scientist's point of view is just like, oh yeah, it is this one fungus that lives in eucalyptus trees. And then at the end of the first part, he has miraculously awakened after being in a coma for 2 months, while everyone else, I think, had died like only 2 or 3 weeks in. I'm not super loving it. I am intrigued by it. So that is where I'm at with this. I did plan, like I said, to just blow through this and finish, but I think this is much more palatable reading little chunks at a time. I think I'm just gonna go take a little break, have a little snack, and pick up Hazelthorn. We're officially at 14 hours, so I have 10 more hours to get this timer down. So we'll see. It is Monday, June 15th. I struggled to read yesterday. No matter what I tried, I couldn't sit down and be still. So I think I got 20 pages into Hazelthorn yesterday. I had a good time, and today I am now 272 pages in. I have less than 100 pages left, but it is 11:30 and I need to go to bed. I am 18 hours and 26 minutes into the challenge, so I have 5.5 hours. Is that math? And literally, I am obsessed. I am obsessed. This happened with the last book I read by C.G. Drews, Don't Let the Forest In. That one, I think, tugged me in even more. This one was like a slow, gradual obsession, and it is so good. It is so good. I do not want to put it down, but I will regret not going to bed before midnight. So we have Evander, who is our main character, and then we have Lori, who is, I guess, like the second main character of the story. They live at the Hazelthorn Manor. Since I'm so far into it, I'm just going to do the base stuff that has happened. Not any of the weird stuff, because I think that's going to be a little too spoilery. But there is something that happened between Evander and Lori when they were kids. Some crazy thing that you are like slowly being insinuated has happened, but you don't really know for sure. And right off the bat, the man of the manor, so Lori's grandfather and Evander's keeper, mysteriously dies. We know what happens to him, and we kind of know maybe why, or at least speculation, but Evander's trying to pretty much solve the murder because he was there when his caretaker drank the tea that killed him. Now that Evander pretty much has seen this, he's not taking it well, and they're saying that the caretaker died of an aneurysm or something. So now we have Evander trying to figure out what's been going on with the manor, with who had the motive to kill him, and why his memory is gone, and how he's been at this place his entire life. He's been locked up in one room, fed medicine every night to go to bed, and being fed really bland foods. And so they've always been like, oh, you're sick. Oh, you have an illness. And you find out that that's not true. During the author's note, the main character, Evander, is autistic and queer. That's kind of what you're prepped for, is queer autistic rage. And so throughout the book, you kind of slowly get that, is like, these memories are mismatched and you don't know what the hell is happening. It's because he's been drugged his entire life. He's 17. I think they're both 17 in this story. And now that both his caretaker and the butler who was giving him all this medicine, and mainly the actual caretaker, both of them are dead and gone. Now he's kind of free. So, the medicine stopped. He's kind of gaining himself pretty much back. And then he has Lori there, and it's just like, well, Lori, you tried to kill me when we were kids. And then there's more truth to that. So it's just this like really convoluted, really interesting story with a magical garden is the best that I could explain it, and it's just so good. I'm probably doing a bad job at explaining it. I'm so tired. Things have been popping up here and there. The relationship between Evander and Lori is so good. Like, C.G. Drews writes relationships so well. Like, the tension that builds, the almost obsession, especially with the first book that I read from them, Don't Let the Forest In. 100% obsession book. This one is also kind of an obsession book, and it just works. And I don't know what magic that they have put into these pages, into these words, but it is working for me. So I'm about 100 pages to the end. I wish I could stay up and read, but I am already making no sense, and it's already going to be rough working tomorrow. So maybe I'll give more thoughts tomorrow, but it is so far a 5-star. I don't think anything can happen to change my mind. I don't think it'll be a new favorite because I don't really like the murder mystery usually in books, but like it's so good. It's so good. And I hope that it's not a devastating ending like Don't Let the Forest In was. That was a devastating in a good way. Hopefully this is, if it is devastating, it is also in a good way. Anyways, I will update you tomorrow. I'm hoping to finish this probably after work. I have too many meetings that I have to attend to be able to just read this in between my meetings and during work. But yes, I will update you later. Hello. It is Tuesday, June 16th, and I have a few updates. I am pretty sure I gave a half delirious update yesterday on Hazelthorn. I'm just gonna keep it. I was gonna re-record it, but you know what? I said that whatever happens with this video, I'm gonna post, so I'm just gonna work with it. I finished Hazelthorn today. I am at 19 hours and 37 minutes into the challenge, so I have a little under 4.5 hours. I think that's how math works. So, that being said, Hazelthorn didn't disappoint. It's a 5 stars. It's so good. I don't know what else to say about it. The ending was just perfect. I was a little worried, but it was so good. The story and the reveals just felt so natural, and I just loved it. It was so good. So 5 stars. I don't think it's 5-star level to getting on my favorite shelf, but damn, this was good. This was good. I'm glad that I took the gamble on getting the special edition combo with both Don't Let the Forest In and Hazelthorn, I think by Litco, something like that. They're like in the UK. They do amazing special editions, and I gambled on getting Hazelthorn because I haven't read it yet. So I really wanted Don't Let the Forest In, and I'm so glad I did. Plus I got Scorpion, I think the next one's called Scorpion Deep. And because I pre-ordered the 2 special edition set, I got like first dibs on the 3rd book. So, it's so good. It is so good. So yeah, I am very, very excited. I don't have anything else to say. That's my finishing thoughts. Whatever rambling I did yesterday and then today, 5 stars, very recommend. Now that I have a little over 4 hours, we have 2 books left. And now I double checked. As long as grass grows, I have about an hour, 17 minutes left. If I just read it on 1 time speed, which I don't. And then with Pedro the Vast, I also less than 100 pages left of this, so that'll be 2 hours. So in total, this might be 3 hours. And that means I did do my math correctly, and I do average about 50 pages. But it really depends. Like with Hazelthorn, I was just so obsessed. I was just speed reading through this. So this actually was quicker than 50 pages per hour. Pedro the Vast might be a little slower just because of the type of writing. But that just means that if I ever have future videos where I do this type of thing where I'm trying to read with a certain hours... Ivy snoring. So sorry, I had to catch that. But yeah, I think I was saying if I ever do a video like this, I'll be able to pretty accurately calculate my pages compared to the hours I have available. So yeah, today was technically supposed to be my last day of filming, but Sunday I just didn't want to read. I don't know what was up, but I think today I'm going to continue reading this physically, Pedro the Vast, and then as long as grass grows, I'm hoping to, depends on the weather, it might rain, but maybe I'll take this outside and go on a walk and listen to the audiobook. As for the remainder of the time I have, I honestly have no clue. I didn't plan another book. I was worried that this amount was pushing it because I think I was like 100 pages over or 60 pages over. I don't know, maybe I'll start a book that I have next up after this vlog. I was going to start The Tainted Cup, but I feel like you only get my beginning thoughts, which will be really, really funny. Or maybe I'll read a manga or two. That might be a good way to go about it as well. We'll decide when we get there. Those are just my thoughts. So yes, I'm going to continue with Pedro the Vast. Maybe tomorrow finish As Long as Grass Grows and then see where we will end up. I am another hour in. I'm on page 102 of the book, and I did double check, and there's 131 pages. So I have about 30 pages left. I'm still really confused. I think this is maybe a little too speculative for me. And yeah, I don't know. I'm holding out hope that the end will bring it all together. Still wary of my enjoyment of this book. It's not even just okay, right? I'm sitting at a 1.5. I'm not like terribly hating it, but there's just something about it. So we'll see. I'm off to dinner and hopefully I will finish this today. I have just hit 21 hours and I have finished Pedro the Vast. I felt the same. I did not like this one. Surprisingly enough, the synopsis sounds more intriguing than the book. Even the synopsis is like the way that it's written, like the tone of voice or the writing style is much more pleasant than this book was. The ending was lackluster, I guess. It was better than I was expecting, but I don't think I got anything out of this. I didn't really enjoy myself. I think I'm still gonna stick with my 1.5 or my 1. I don't know. I didn't like it, but there was like some aspects maybe that I could bump it up half a rating. I can see why the average rating of this is so low. Ivy's been cleaning herself. Good job. Get that foot. I have done it. I finished all the books I tried to get to that I planned for within the 24 hours. So I am just shy of 22 hours. So technically I have 2 hours left of my 24 hours. Okay, before we move on to my next steps, I finished As Long as Grass Grows by Dina Gilio Whitaker. I so recommend this. Like, this was so, so good. I think the first two, I don't know if they're technically chapters, but I'll just say the first 2 chapters and the last 2 chapters were probably my least favorite. I felt like they were the least strong. Everything else throughout was like 5 stars, but then the last two, they're okay. I think that'll drop my rating just a little bit. I think stuck between 4 and 4.5. I don't know if that drops it a whole star. I don't know. I'll think about it for like 2 more seconds because I literally just finished this. Really great read. Highly recommend. Now, we'll watch Ivy clean herself. Oh no, she's embarrassed. Oh no, she's going. Good leggy. So now I have 2 hours left. My next planned read, it would be The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. Hello everyone. It is 10/10, June 19th, and I have officially hit 24 hours. As you may know, with the last update, I did have 2 hours left, and I did decide to read The Tainted Cup. I didn't get the Libby hold in that night, but I did start reading it yesterday, about an hour, and then today finished up with another hour-ish to hit 24 hours. I got 23% through, so that adds about 94 more pages. So I guess we can just move on to the numbers, and then maybe I will give just a run through of the ratings of all these books. In total, not counting the graphic novels, I read 1,164 pages. The graphic novels took me about 3 hours, so I'm going to average them 150 pages. So that got me to 1,314 pages, where with the previous estimate, the 24 times 50, I had estimated 1,200 pages. So 100 more pages, so that's like 2 more hours. I'm gonna call it a success. We have finished 7 books, so that brings my total books read from 23 to 30. So now I'm only 17 books behind, but I'm still happy to be at 30. That seems like a pretty good number. We did read more books than I have read for quite a few months. I think since I'm currently reading The Tainted Cup, I'm gonna finish it by the end of the month. So this month will be my most highest read month in a very, very long time. I did end up progressing on my 2026 reading goals. So I have added 1 translated book, 1 nonfiction book, and 3 graphic novels. So I am also feeling really good about those. What else can I say about this? I guess I can just talk about my feelings. Overall, I am happy that I did this. I did get back into reading a little bit more. I do feel a little burnt out from reading. Ooh, did you see that moth? That little bug? Rude. Anyways, I did feel like it was more of a chore, but it was almost one of those things, by the end, I felt like I had to make it a chore or else I wouldn't have read. I would have either gone on my phone or did some other stuff, quote unquote, trying to be productive right before reading or whatever. Like this time I'm like, okay, I have this many hours, I need to sit and read. And there were times where I was just really excited to read. Like in the beginning, reading the Sheets trilogy, like I think that was a perfect start to this challenge. And then it kind of slowed a little bit, and then it picked up, and then slowed and picked up. So I think overall, great idea. Maybe 24 hours is too long for me. I feel like it does feel good that I've succeeded 24 hours and I have read 7 books and almost 100 pages into another one, but it does take quite a long time. If I'm reading an hour a day for 20 days, that's 20 hours. But I did want to finish this on the 16th and it didn't happen. So as you can see, like even behind here, I'm planning another video to maybe post before this one because it'll take some time to edit. And I am going camping with my family this weekend, so I'm just gonna be busy. And so it just, I think as the first video back into YouTube and filming, I think it went really well. I did feel days where I was excited to film and talk. I got more and more comfortable. There were other days where I'm just like, oh, I just want to sit and read. I'm so tired after a long day. So I don't know. I do plan on doing this again in December. So it'll be like the last month, the last kind of push. And I'll kind of do this again where it's a 24-hour thing. We'll see. Maybe by that point, I'll be a little bit more comfortable reading and a little more into it, where 24 hours is easy, right? I don't want to blab too much, but let us very quickly go over what I've read, go over my final ratings, and close off the video. The Sheets trilogy, consisting of Sheets, Delicates, and Lights. Sheets, I gave a 3-star. Delicates, I gave a 2-star. And Lights, I gave a 4-star. Moving on to the novels. Sorcery and Small Magics, I gave a 2-star. Hazelthorn, I gave a 5-star. Pedro the Vast, I gave a 1.5-star. As Long as Grass Grows, I gave a 4-star. And my average rating was a 3.07, so right in the middle. Right in the middle. I think we got a star rating from each one of the stars. So 1 through 5, we hit all of them, which is really, really funny. And of course, The Tainted Cup, I didn't even give a review yet. I was so focused. That 23%, it's going really, really well. I remember reading the first chapter a really, really long time ago, and now that we've passed the first chapter, it is a whole different vibe, but all of the characters are so good. The audiobook is really, really good. The narrator is doing both like male and female voices, and it's just great. It is so good. And we just finished chapter 9. I am too tired to give a proper review right now. Anyways, I am going to sign off and get ready to listen to more of The Tainted Cup, and play Power Wash Simulator, and mentally prep for the weekend of camping. As always, this is Quinn, signing off.